where I've been, what I've been doing, what I've been building, and how I fell in love with the YETI. Coming at you now on Maxed Out. Okay, well, it's been a while. My last review was in July of last year, so this is definitely a long time coming, but there's a lot that's been happening. I got a new job. There are certain responsibilities I had to take care of, so I wasn't able to put out the videos in the timely fashion I should. And honestly, it makes me think of all the people that put out 10-15 videos a week. You need a lot of dedicated time to do that, and I really applaud those people. But let's get up to date. So, since July, that review was on the GTX 670. And if I remember correctly, I said in that video that the only thing that would be better than this GTX 670 is two of them, that I'd freak out over that. Well, I made that happen. I have another GTX 670 in my machine. And to give you sort of like a almost a year later review of how I still feel with some games like Far Cry that have come out, Crisis 3, definitely Crisis 3, the new Tomb Raider. To give you a little bit of insight, with one GTX 670, those games are still running really good. But with two, it is phenomenal. And here's my rationale by going to the second 670. First off, because you got to remember, but within this decision-making process of getting a second one, which was only recently, it was only at the beginning of last month, the Titan had already been announced. The GTX Titan had been announced. The GTX 690 had already been out for just a little bit. Okay, both of them are $1,000 cards. And the benchmarks and everything go to prove that these are beast cards, and I was drooling, but they're $1,000. And I had already spent $400 last year on the GTX 670. So I did my research finding out how NVIDIA's improved SLI since last year, because there were some people that were saying that there were some performance problems, but they've always been ahead of the curve versus Crossfire with AMD. But that's like a whole other argument for another day. I just want to focus on this part of it. And so that seemed to be all in a row for me, and I'm like, well, I still really think that the 690 going with a single GPU situation probably would be best, seeing as the Crossfire situation I came out of, especially with heat, was a very bad problem for me. So I was still kind of hesitant. So in my research and other benchmarks, that being some from OC3D, Tiny Tom Logan, TTL, I have to give him props. This guy, his videos have single-handedly helped me build a lot of machines and upgrading mine, so definitely props. If you haven't checked out his channel, check out his channel. He's got some great videos. Linus Tech Tips, also great videos. Props to him too. So now I've done my shout-outs for the day. But when I was looking at all of these benchmarks from different people, some of them are synthetics, and I don't care what anybody says. You can, video response me till you're blue in the face. But synthetic benchmarks are never going to tell you exactly what you're seeing on the screen. They're only going to let you know the theoretical stuff behind what you're supposed to be viewing on the screen. So I do them just to compare what my old situation is to my new one, and to give insight to people who really care about that. But mostly it's about the games. And really, if you average it out, it's only a 2% difference in performance between two GTX 670s SLI'd and one GTX 690. So I'd already bought my GTX 670. I bought my second one at Micro Center for, I think, $390. Okay? So for $390 upgrade, just about a year later, to get on top of that, Crisis 3, and still shooting for Star Wars 1313 and Watch Dogs. I'm still looking at those. And I realized, why not just spend the $389 instead of a whole other $999? So my original plan of adding to this still made sense almost a year later. It still makes sense now. So the GTX 670 has run as beautiful as the day I bought it almost a year ago. So I'm really, really thankful for that card. Tomb Raider's running maxed out. Everything's running maxed out, even better with SLI. I will say a little bit that there's a heat situation. I'm still trying to figure that out right now because I'm almost on the verge of going water cooling with both my video cards. But it does seem that one of my cards, Delta, heat is like almost 10 degrees higher than the other one. Obviously because they're sitting on top of each other. One is sitting on top of the other. So I am running into semi-heat stuff after like 4 hours of play. It gets up into the high 60s. Even though people say don't be worried about that, I'm like a cool freak. I want stuff cool and what have you. But I have not taken any performance hits. I've had no glitches with SLI. I've had no stuttering. Micro stutter is like a thing of the past. I've had none of that. It's been absolutely mind-blowing what Crossfire GTX 670s can do. So if you can find a deal on one, and I should mention that as long as it's the same architecture, you can mix any brand GTX. So if you find, say, an EVGA or, I would say EVGA, and you can find one for like $359, $329. Some people are having sales like that. As long as it has the same architecture, you can SLI these no problem. So you can actually save more money than what I spent. For me, it was just the part of having the same card. Maybe you're like that too. But I did do that. So as far as just to recap that year of having the GTX 670, still I do not regret it no matter what is on the market now. Even the 7970 from AMD is a beautiful card, don't get me wrong, but I'm still getting better performance. And I spent around the same money on the upgrade as I would have had to buy for a 7970 for a whole new card, single card. And even though I think if I were to do it all again, and the Titan was out at the time, I might have cracked down and just saved and paid that $1,000 for that card. I might have done that. Just because if I had to, my preference would be a single GPU situation over a dual. But the way the SLI works, the power situation and the heat is still less than two 6870s that I had before I got my GTX 670. You can check out that portion of the review from last July. Let's see. Okay, we're going to move on to the other upgrades that I have done in this machine. One of them is I got the FX 8350. I upgraded from the 980 Denob 3.7 and I went to the FX 8350 running at 4.33 gigahertz. Mind-blowing with any game that takes a lot of CPU. I mean, my frame rates right now are not just high, they're consistent. My mins and my max, there's like maybe a 10 frame difference all the time. So that jump, that spike, that that you'll see in a game jittering, even if you see it go up to 70, 80 frames per second, you're like, well, why is it still skipping? That smoothness in between is perfect. Battlefield 3 runs like Call of Duty does on the consoles, because Call of Duty's probably got the best frame rate, solid frame rate on a console that I've seen anyway. And I can run everything maxed out with AA. I think I'm running ultra settings, complete ultra settings, and I'm still getting 90, 95, 100 frames per second. And I'm testing those things in full matches, 64 player matches, big team conquest stuff where the maps are huge, and my dips get down to probably about 55. They get down to about 55, and that's under extreme situations. Like I said, it usually stays in a 10 frame per second window. That was one upgrade. The next upgrade is by far, you hear everybody talking about it. If you're still on the fence, don't be. I got myself an SSD. I got an ADATA S900, SX900 SSD drive. It's a 256 gig. This is by far the best situation I have. I have my old hard drive, which was still an awesome gaming hard drive, the Western Digital Caviar Black. It was a terabyte. a black edition, 64 meg cache. It's still a solid, matter of fact, it's still in my machine running games. What I've done is, I installed my OS, Battlefield, Crisis 3, all on my SSD, because getting into matches is really quick, but I wanted to keep that low, and then what I did was, because Steam gives you the option to install games on another drive, I installed all my other games on my terabyte drive, so I actually have more room on my terabyte drive for just games. It takes me approximately 10 seconds from the start button to starting up my machine to get to the desktop with an SSD. And as soon as I can see the desktop, I can click on anything and start going. It doesn't take any time to load anything. It was one of the best purchases. I went with ADATA because they allow you to keep more of your of space on your hard drive. And some people say that's bad because it doesn't have the built-in trim type stuff that helps for file management and keeping it what have you. But I wanted the more space, and it was only I think it was 189. Yeah, it was $190 for a 256 gig, and I'm like, and most of the Samsungs were sold out where I was going, and so I just decided, you know what, I'm going to give ADATA a try, and I've only had it for a month, along with that second GTX and my FX 8350. I've only had those for about a month, so there's still some time. I'll probably do another review later on to show, you know, how has it been working over the year, but I've had no problem so far with everything I'm doing. So there's that part of it. Now here comes an interesting part. We're going to break away soon so that I can show you my new project. It starts out with a Corsair 600T case, beautiful white limited edition case. At least that's what it says online. And it's my first real themed project, and it's called YETI, Beast from the East, and I'll show you why when we split away, and I'll be able to recap some of the upgrades that I made so you'll be able to see them inside. But I'm really excited to show you this build because it's cool, so I'm going to break away, we're going to go take a look at the build, and then I'll come back for some more. Alright, well here we go. This is my project, codenamed YETI. It's a Corsair 600T case, which is the most beautiful case I've ever owned. I always try to get nice cases, but this one has by far been the best. As you can see in the front, I tricked it out with the YETI symbol, written out, and I got some more stuff to add to it. This isn't a completed build yet, but there's some things that I didn't mention that I'd like to. I added 2 Noctua NF P12s in replace of the stock Corsair fans. They weren't SP120s anyway, but I added them. And if you notice, like this funky foam on either side, that's to help create more static pressure through the fans. Some people gave me that advice. So far, I haven't seen a huge difference, so I guess I don't know if it's making that much of a difference. But this one here is to block the lighting shooting through the top, which I'll show you in a minute. But these fans are super quiet. The only fan you may be hearing right now is the Corsair one that came with the case in the front. It's a 200mm. But to show you, this is the cage that came with the 600T, and it had all this kind of like grating here, the plastic pieces. I had to cut those out. I actually had to take the metal grate off the plastic frame and cut those out because with the Noctuas, they're a little bit taller, it seems, than the stock Corsair, so they were hitting the grate, and I wasn't able to keep everything flush to the case. Now I can. So that's just an example of why it's good to check these things before you buy stuff. But also I put the Noctuas up here so that they can be covered, because they're the ugliest fans known to man, and it doesn't match anything else with my case, so I just leave it there and it doesn't really seem to matter. So now what happened was there was a plastic clear window that came with the system, but me trying to mod it ruined it. So what I did was I went to Home Depot and I bought myself a sheet of acrylic, and I cut it up myself and drilled some holes and made a new acrylic, which I think looks better than the plastic. This one almost looks glass. The other one looked really just plasticky. It wasn't. It was very muddy. Okay, so let's get inside here. All right. So let's start with the power. Right here, 2 GTX 670s and Crossfires. You can see when I was talking about heat, look at how much space is in between them. There's really not a lot. So this case getting a lot of airflow is going to be important. And with this fan, there is really good airflow. I mean, there's a lot of air coming through. And I got a, I think it's NZXT 120 millimeter white fan in the back to go with it. And it pulls air okay, but the balance between performance and being quiet and looking cool, you have to take hits somewhere. There's just no way about it. And what I did was I used cable management plastic tubing to just give some accents. If you can see up here on my 4-pin to my motherboard, it's all white braided. Well, that's an extension cable that I found at Micro Center. The same thing with my 24-pin. So I just covered them up and obviously went with the white tubing also to cover up the cables on that. Let's see. Yeah, there's the 2 hard drives. I got my Western Digital and also my new ADATA in there. The only thing that's left to do on this project is this ugly, ugly thermal take power supply that, believe me, the performance is awesome. I love this power supply. I've had this for almost 2 years now, and it runs really good. I love it, but it is ugly as crap, and I really need to change it out. Everyone's been asking me about this on the OC3D forums that I'm on, what I did. And I made this custom SLI bridge out of, I'm going to tell you this, I'll give you the secret behind it. It's really funny, actually. These are actually nozzle covers for a car, for the windshield washer nozzles. You know, they're supposed to trick them out. You just put them over. Well, I took them, I sanded them down a little bit, glued them together over the SLI bridge, and used a little hot glue to keep it in there, and then boom, just popped it on, just to give it some flair. I'm going to be making another custom one, but for now, which actually 3D printing might be in my future, because I might be making custom SLI bridges, so be on the lookout for that. Also, what I wanted with the white and the black theme was this hint of blue to make it, you know, like that YETI ice, you know, type, blue ice type thing. And so I used all my thumb screws for everything are these custom blue ones that I also picked up from Micro Center. They're odds and ends with cables. Like I said, I really got to get a new power supply or figure out a way to cover this thing up without causing any problems. But, so what I'll do is, I'll put the cover back on. See if I can... do this all with one hand, which is tough. Let's see. There we go. And what I'll do is, I'll just flip on the lights. I put in 2 custom lights. Let me shut off my normal lighting in here so you can see. Let's see if I can get over here to this lighting. And boom. Lights up really nice inside there. Especially at different angles where you can see the crossfire bridge and the white fan in the back. So I do have some last minute things that are going to get done to this case before I can really present it as a finished product, but I wanted to keep you up to date on what I was doing. I'll try to again put links to a lot of the stuff that I bought if you're planning on doing a similar build, because with this tubing, they actually have different colors at Micro Center anyway. So you can go to their website and check that out. But they have it's 1/2-inch tubing, and they have tons of different colors. And the other thing is too is you can also use Krylon indoor-outdoor paint that doesn't need primer, and just lay these out in a metal tube or what have you, like put a metal tube through it, and then just spray these. And whatever color you want. So that's also another option for you. But okay, that seems to be, I'm going to wrap that up. Oh wait, no, I'm not going to, because I got to add something else in, and I might do a full review of this because I just can't get over it. Let me see if I can get some more lighting here. This monitor is fantastic. It's a 27-inch AOC IPS monitor. And normally with IPS and gaming, they don't really go together because they come in like 7 millisecond, 15 millisecond, and that's just not good enough response time. This one is a 2 millisecond IPS monitor, and I'm telling you, I got it for like $270. Awesome, awesome monitor. And last but not least, this is the newest addition to the whole situation, is these Klipsch THX 200 watt speakers, and they come with a really cool subwoofer, which I kind of can't get to at the moment, but just to round out the whole system. I still, by the way, I still have my Black Widow keyboard, and I'm telling you, it still works. It's the same as the day that I bought it, and believe me, I've been frustrated playing Battlefield. I've been frustrated playing every game that I play, so they get hammered on, and this thing still works beautiful. I replaced my normal Lachesis that I had from way back that still works, but I replaced it because I got a good deal on it with this Razer Naga, and it's awesome. I really love that too. So, okay, well that's it for now. We'll cut away and I'll give you some final thoughts. All right, so there you have it. I was able to recap my GTX review, show you some of the new stuff that I've been doing, and most of all, I got to show you the YETI. It's still under construction, but I'm really happy with the way it's coming out. I'm going to try to post some links below to all the things that I talked about and give you some other places where I found information. But I'm really excited. If you liked the video, please subscribe, and also please leave comments so that I can know, give me some ideas for the future. Things that I can review, that we can talk about. I got some new things on the horizon, podcasts and stuff, talking beyond just hardware, beyond reviews, getting into a lot of gaming news. I'm really excited about that. It's still in the works, but we'll figure that out later. But if you liked it, please hit the like button, please subscribe, and please comment. So from Redemption77 here at Maxed Out, remember, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, but if you're cool or lame. See you later.